Welcome to OLR Connections, the podcast of the Ohio Lodge of Research. In this episode, I sit down with our past master, worshipful brother Bob Stacoffe, and discuss his longevity in the fraternity, as well as the story that brought him to the Ohio Lodge of Research. And we discuss the motivation that keeps him excited about education and Masonry. So you're from Connecticut originally? Is that
Yeah,
where you what?
I'm New Haven.
New Haven? Is that where you
Yeah.
were made a Mason?
No, when we married, we moved to Stratford, Connecticut, and then from Stratford, oh gosh, uh, we moved to another town in Connecticut. But eventually, I wound up in Massachusetts, and I took my degrees at uh, Montgomery Lodge in Milford, Massachusetts, 1984. And a funny story about that, if you got a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
uh, when I was going through all these books, 1,500 and some odd books in the library, one book that I put my hand on and picked up was The History of Montgomery Lodge, Milford, Massachusetts, 1797 to 1897.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's about 4 inches thick, and it has the history, things I didn't know. I didn't know it was a moon lodge to begin with. I didn't know that they moved 13 times and originally were in Medford, Massachusetts, and then they just moved around that same area and settled in Milford. And it was interesting because every meeting minute, the author took abstracts of each meeting and listed them on a page. So you could look at it and see what they did. And evidently they met at 2:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday, but they had a lot of meetings on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, which they uh, gave degrees out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
made Masons. And it listed each meeting how many uh, entered apprentice they did, how many fellow craft, and how many master masons. And it wasn't uncommon to see a page that said we did 4 entered apprentice, we did 2 fellow craft, and we did 1 master mason all in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I think they met like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon, and went all night until they finished.
Yeah.
And you don't see that anymore. They grew uh, in membership and had a dues of $1 a year. And after I think it was 15 years, 20 years, when they moved to Milford, and they went up to $2 a year. But an interesting thing was that every visitor that came to their lodge paid a fee of 25 cents. And the 25 cents was to pay for their refreshments. But it was a fee, and people paid it. And the minutes would show $4 in uh, visitor fees, 50 cents,
Hmm.
75 cents, but it was common to go right along in the thing. And I found it very interesting. As a matter of fact, I've got it in my den,
Yeah.
and I've got about oh maybe 40 pages to go to read it, continue reading it. I got to get it back to the library.
Did you have family members who were Masons or why, what caught
Yes,
your interest?
I had an uncle by marriage that was a Mason, and he he belonged to Hiram Lodge number 1 in New Haven, And Hiram Lodge #1 was sponsor of DMLA, New Haven chapter. And that's where I went into DMLA, was in New Haven. An interesting fact there is that Hiram #1 was the home lodge of Benedict Arnold.
Hmm.
And of course, when I think of it, after I knew that, and I didn't realize that when I was in DMLA, my father, and he died when I was before I was 7 years old. But I remember big fur hats that they wore. I don't know what they call it, Cossacks or something. And I used to play with them. And when they came to pick up my father's uniform, I wouldn't let the guy, I just wrapped my arms around, wouldn't let him take it. And he said, "Don't worry about it," to my old mother. And I guess the next day when I was in school or something, he came and got it. But I wouldn't let that thing go.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
my biggest problem was that I didn't pay attention in high school or grade school, and it was always sports, and then girls, but sports mostly. And I did get an athletic scholarship to uh, half scholarship to a major university. I won't mention which one, but and I didn't take it because I didn't have confidence I could do it
Hmm.
because of my grades in high school and grammar school were not college type things. And they decided I was going into the Army. And I would tackle college after the Army. So when I did get out of the Army, I went to a community college in Hamden, Connecticut, where I lived in New Haven, and called Quinnipiac University now. It was a small community college then. I think we had 400. We had about 100 in my graduating class, if not more. I got an associate's degree. And over the next 6 years, I really struggled working full time and going part time to get my bachelor's, but I got it.
So you were in DMLA as a youth. Then you went to the army, got married. So it was a while later before you actually became a Mason. And then
Well, yeah, I graduated from high school in 1954. It's 30 years.
yeah,
1984 is when
30 years, yeah. Okay. So
and
then
my brother was a Mason. My brother was my mentor. He was 9 years older than I am. And he kept saying, "You got to join, you got to join, you got to join." And he kept giving me petitions. And finally I did. And happy I did. And that's the ring that my brother wore. And my nephews gave it to me when he died.
oh wow.
He's been dead over 30 years now. He
Wow.
died 56.
Now was he a
So
member in New Haven? Or did he always live there? Or did he move around as
yeah,
well?
he lives in the outskirts of New Haven, West Haven.
Okay.
And so yeah, and yeah, that was a time. He uh, he was my mentor. Well, he was in the Merchant Marines, and when he came home, uh, partly during the war, when he came home, I had to show him my report card, and he said, "If you get 1A in something, I'll take you to the Army Navy game in Philadelphia." And I did. I got an A, Jim.
And Jim?
And he says, "Yeah, you got an A, so I'll take you." And we went to the Army Navy game. I can't remember. I could have been more than 12, 13 years old.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. So then you moved around from Massachusetts. You moved around quite a bit. What other areas did you live in?
Oh, yeah. We went from Connecticut to Ohio up in Port Clinton. We lived on Catawba Island there. And from there, we went to where did we go? We went to New Jersey. And from New Jersey, we went to Maryland. From Maryland, we went to Massachusetts. And from Massachusetts, we went to where did we go? Went to St. Louis. And then from St. Louis, we got transferred here to Columbus. And that's where I said, that's it. They wanted me. Well, I also had an assignment where I was 19 months. I wouldn't move from St. Louis to Memphis, and I made a deal with the president of the company that I would go out on Monday and come back home on Friday, and I did that for 19 months, and they wanted me to, after new VP came in, he said, well, we're not going to pay for your housing and your boarding, for anymore. We want you to move to Memphis. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. Well, you got one choice, either move to Memphis or retire. I said, okay, I'll retire. I did retire the end of 96. And about January 15th of 97, I got a call from the senior vice president, and he said, hey, we need some help. Would you consider coming back and being a consultant for us? Ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling.
Yep. So what did you do for work?
I was managed distribution centers, and I was vice president of a region, the East Coast, which included Atlanta, Memphis, Charlotte, Baltimore, and 2 operations in New Jersey. So I was traveling a lot then.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah. But I think, travel helped me because my wife and I have traveled the whole world. I mean, we've been to 83 countries, all the states, most of Canada, so it's been interesting.
Where was your favorite to travel? Or can you pick that?
Yeah, it's tough. I got 2, and that is Antarctica and Machu Picchu.
Wow.
So we traveled extensively, and I think we did 31 or 32 cruises, and a lot of land trips, and we did it while we were young.
That's
Can't do
excellent.
it anymore.
Yeah, that's excellent. But as I mentioned the other day, I mean, one of the things I'm kind of curious that I think will be kind of a motivator for some of our members is where and how you find your excitement for all of these different things that you do.
Personally, curiosity was one of my things and not only that, but wanting to learn more about Masonry. I missed it. I missed being a member or missing chair. Almost 20 years of that because of my travel for business. And I tried a couple times to go to lodges and then try to maintain it, but I never stayed in the city long enough.
Mhm.
I moved 7 times during my career.
Wow.
So when I got to Ohio, I decided I was going to get back into it, and I did at Reynoldsburg Lodge 340. And from there, I had a mentor. His name was Dick Lucky, illustrious brother Richard Lucky. And we met by sitting next to each other at Reynoldsburg, and we went back and forth with questions, and he seemed to take an interest in what I had done and or wanted to do, and he got me involved with Scottish Rite, and he he said it's easy, just take a non-speaking part. Well, that went into speaking parts in 5 of the degrees, and I enjoyed it. I somehow think I consider myself as an overachiever. Okay, I might have a goal, but it's not good enough just to have a goal. They had to do better than that, and got into Scottish Rite that way. Participated, and got to be what we call the uh, ambassadors. And through the ambassadors, uh, I I think I not sure of the number, but I know it's like in the 40s, uh, 43, 44, but I gave a lot of petitions away uh, to guys that needed 1, 2, or 3 to get their endowment. And of course, I got an endowment from that. And I also was given a award of the MSA,
Mm-hmm.
and that had a lot to do with it. Uh, I'm not sure if you're aware of, uh, oh, one of our bodies, the Lodge of Perfection, has an award called the uh, Worker of the Temple.
Okay.
And I got that in 1916. 1916, 2016.
You're not that old, Bob.
And from there, I said, yeah, I'm having fun doing all this stuff. So then you're aware of Royal Scofield.
Yeah.
Well, just about that time that I got to Reynoldsburg, he was doing the uh, correspondence courses. He would send you all the information that, just like a school thing. And was quite a few papers that he sent, and you had to send back to him, and he would send it back with these notes on it in red ink. And he did 2 of those sessions, and I learned a lot from it. And after that, well, I'm trying to think of sequences here. Um, I just became so involved in Scottish Rite. Uh, I'm on the board of trustees. I've got 1 year left on that. Uh, right now, I'm just finishing up doing a what would you call it? A renewal of the library at Scottish Rite office in Dublin,
Mhm.
Valley of Columbus. And we have almost 15, well, we have over 1,500 books in our small library. And unfortunately, no one ever took the time to list all the books that we had. And I took that on. Just finishing up. Matter of fact, I'm having lunch with Charlie tomorrow. And Charlie's been a great help to me. We're buddy, you know
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And he, he always says, no, you're going to con me into something else, because that's how I got him into as Secretary of Ohio
Mm-hmm.
Research. But anyhow, I went through every book once, and we put a notice in it that this is the property of uh, the Valley of Columbus, Scottish Rite. And then I decided, well, if I'm going to do that, uh, I wonder how long it would take to list all the books by title, put numbers on them, the whole thing, just like an index.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then when Royal Scofield Society came on, I got into that, and I was number 20 in that series. Then along came, well, I've done Pathfinder 3 times, and I'm into, I did the HGA, of course.
Mhm.
That took 22 months.
Wow.
And my English, as I said, I did not learn enough to really write well. But again, my good friend, Charlie, was my editor. He did not tell me how to do it. He told me this portion needs to be upgraded. Look at it, do it again, and then give it to me, and I'll see how you did. And we did this process right along. And I really, he must have gotten frustrated sometimes because I could say, Charlie, what do I do? Do what you think you should do, and I'll edit it, see if it needs, you know, he was very particular in not contributing to take over and write it again. You know, he
That's
made
good.
me think about it. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had HGA either.
Yeah.
And so that's where I am right now. And I served my last year on the board of trustees, and from there, I don't know where I'll be going. I think I'm going to try and do some research on something, but I'm not sure what it's going to be yet.
Mhm.
I have to keep going.
You described yourself earlier as, I forget exactly what words you used, but you described yourself earlier as being not a particularly good student. I don't know if that was because you just weren't interested in it or what. So what was at some point in your life, obviously that changed and you got curious about the reading and the research and so forth. How did you go about that change?
Well, I think that change came in just starting as a master mason or in the degrees to be a master mason, entered apprentice fellowship, fellow craft, and master mason book, and learn all that. And I did. I gave all 3 lectures, and I researched on the purpose of it and so forth. And that's what got me probably started. And I enjoyed it. And of course, I think when you become master of a lodge, you have to learn a lot and read a lot about the constitution uh, of the state, Ohio, and about the constitution of masonry itself. Uh, I've read Anderson's Constitution. I've read uh, criticism of it and uh, good works of it.
Mhm.
So,
So, well, I think when you and I really met and kind of got to know one another was through the Lodge of Research.
right,
How long had you been involved in the Lodge of Research at that point when we met?
about 2 years.
Okay.
I went to Chad Simpson was involved then.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I think Chad was the master when I went in. I don't know if you remember George Persey.
Okay.
He was. We had a meeting at his. He was a minister. We had a meeting at his church, and there were 3 of us that showed up besides George. The 2 gentlemen that were at the meeting with Percy was Norman Lincoln
Mm-hmm.
and one other older gentleman.
Okay.
And that's where I met Norman. And that's where Norman question came up about books and getting up to date on publishing papers. And Norman says, "Well, I want you guys to come out to my car because I'm going to give you some. I've got boxes of books in there, and you wound up with them, I think, or number one right on up. They
Okay.
blew the
Yeah, I think
blue
eventually I
band.
got them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And he gave those to us, and that's when he gave me the box of filing cards.
Okay.
And that's what started the whole thing. And yeah, I think and it was one meeting where came up and you said we either got to kill it or we got to save it. And
Yeah, I'm not known for my subtlety.
that was a meeting we had that I presented college expressed, and I had they gave us a overview of it as on the computer,
Yeah. Yep.
and Slattery said, "No, we can't afford it." And I said, "Well, we got to talk. We got tabled, I guess." And we came up the next meeting and presented it again, and it was accepted.
Yeah.
I think the first meeting was just that I gave out brochures and talked about it. The second meeting was when we had the TV or the presentation on
Yep.
computer.
Yep. That sounds right. Yep. So
But
what was the draw for you to get involved with the Lodge of Research then? Especially if it was fairly poorly attended at the time.
I think just the fact that I was meeting uh, people that were interested in research, and it would be a good learning experience for me.
Hmm.
Uh, Chad had said, "Why don't you come to one of our meetings? We need to build this thing up." And of course, he passed away. But I really can't say what the exact reason or why, except that I got interested in something, probably something to save that I knew would last after it was saved. And we've done well since then.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think so. I'm very pleased with the progress we've made in the last few years. Yeah.
yeah. And it's unfortunate we don't get the attendance out of how many people we've taken in. Charlie said, what, 18 to 20 every quarter?
So what would be your hope or your goal for the Lodge of Research moving forward from this point? What knowing what we've done already, what would you like to see happen next?
I would like to see uh, a gathering uh, having what was it, 1965 we were formed, so an anniversary dinner type thing, and at a certain location, and be able to bring forth the history of what of the Lodge of Research. And I think it'd be great if we get a big gathering, and the fellowship would have to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got some talented people in this organization.
Yeah. Well, 2025 will be 60 years. So
2025.
yeah, next year will
I,
be 60 years, right? So
I would like to see that, and I would like to see Grand Lodge recognized more, this Lodge of Research.
yeah.
I don't think they really are involved.
We've revived the Ohio Lodge of Research. It's well on its way. You are a master of the craft of the Royal Scofield Society. You've completed Hautes Grads. You've done Pathfinder 3 times, you said.
I'm in my third.
You're in your third. Um, Not to mention many other things. You're MSA for Scottish Rite and so forth. What's next? I mean, we don't want you to get bored. What's the next big thing for Bob Stacoffe?
Well, I don't. Well, it would be doing the paper on probably Benjamin or Benedict Arnold's. That would be the next thing. I can't get too busy because you know I have to. The age is catching up to me. Let me put it that way.
Nah, age is just a number.
Yeah, just a number.
Just a number. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have to create some new societies for you to join and master.
yeah. You need to.
Excellent. Well, all right. Well, Bob, thank you so much for doing this with me. It's been a good conversation. This is some of one of the things I think that we kind of miss by having an organization that's spread out over the state. We don't get to know each other quite as well, and so that was part of the purpose for doing these membership profiles as part of the podcast, is to help people get to know one another a little better. So I do
Right, right.
appreciate you participating and sharing your story with us.
Well, I appreciate the fraternity.